Hi, you guys. Welcome in. We're ready for our next breakout session. Up next, we have Tiffany Tolliver, the founder of the Emma Rose Agency, and she will be talking to you about starting up your own website.
Thank you. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Well, good morning, everybody. How are you doing today? I'm so excited to be here. And I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. So my story began when I opened up the doors of the Emma Rose Agency with absolutely no clients while I was working as the Director of Communications at a luxury salon in Washington, D.C. That basically means that I was being underpaid and overworked. And after putting myself in the hospital through having several anxiety attacks, I realized that there needed to be a change. I realized that if I really wanted to make it happen for myself, I had to go off on my own. I had to make decisions that would change my entire life. So what I did was I quit my job without having a backup plan, absolutely no clients, and all while raising my 6-year-old daughter, Asia, by myself. So in 2016, I made a whopping $30,000, yay me, and so I was basically robbing Peter to pay Paul all the time. I was overdrafting on my debit card to put gas in my car to get me and my daughter from point A to point B. But I always knew that that was not the end for me. I always knew that there was going to be a different story. There was going to be a different end to my entire career. So what I did was I just put my head down and I continued to work. And it was during that time, with my head down and working, that I had another realization. That for me to change my life, for me to take my life from point A to point B, that I was going to have to obsess over the middle, the work in the middle, the small yet impactful changes that will change anyone's life. And so what I did was I made the decision to quit my job. I invested in myself when the money was not coming in. I attended networking events like this and I met industry experts and I asked them out to coffee. And so those things collectively allowed me to free myself from that beginning and to create another end. So 2016 continues to go on, and I start to get clients, amen. The bills start to get paid just a little bit, but in entrepreneurship, you always realize that once one problem is fixed, another one comes up, right? And so I found out that I wasn't delivering on the promise that I was saying that I could do for somebody else. Basically, I needed a rebrand. And so at the end of 2016, I rebranded my company. I redid my website. And in 2017, I went on to hire my first 4 employees. I moved to Los Angeles, California, and I made $120,000. That's 4 times my salary in 2016. Now, there were other things that went into that salary increase, right? It was hiring a coach, it was going to networking events, it was putting my head down, it was doing pro bono work to go into my portfolio to get more clients. But I realized that the main touch point that a potential client would visit me at was my website. I knew that that was a selling point for me to get more clients. And so that may look differently for you, though. Your middle may be sitting here and getting the education because you're looking to start your own blog. You may be a fashion blogger, and you're just like, where are my people? How do I get exposure? You may be a small business entrepreneur, and you're just looking for your next client, the next big opportunity. And so that middle, for some of you, may simply be creating an amazing website that will get you sales and will get you noticed. So what we're going to be covering today is your why, your clients, and your services, the keys to creating a cohesive brand, and the 5-page formula. Because if you thought that you were going to come here and I was going to give you just an SEO rundown and we're just going to go through pages, you picked the absolute wrong seminar. Because with branding, with your website, if your website is foundation, branding is the primer. There's nothing that you can get away with on your website without having an intact brand. It is the most important thing for your website. 1 out of 3 businesses fail in their first year. I think that's because they're not connected with their why. In my branding process, all of my clients go through a 4-week kind of boot camp, and we talk about 3 main things: their why, their clients, and their services. Those are the primer. Those are the foundation for what we're going to do on their website. So for you, when you're thinking about your why, because there are going to be nights when you have to stay up late, and you have to do the work, and you have to press through. If you're not connected with your why, it's going to be difficult for you to continue on. It's extremely important that we identify that at the beginning of the process rather than later. Your target audience, which is the biggest thing that I can teach someone within my branding process. Your target audience, finding what I call your it girl, that's branded to me. But it doesn't have to be a girl. It can be anybody who you want to sell your product to, who you want to read your blog. It's important that we identify who that person is because we're selling to them, we're talking to them, we're marketing to them. And if we're hitting the mark and what they like, what they're attracted to, they're just going to pass you by. Consumers have so many options nowadays when it comes to style blogs, when it comes to brand designers, when it comes to marketing coordinators. They have so many ideas, and they only connect with those people who fit into their life already. They're not looking for someone who's so far off in the, I would never be attracted to a mountain hunter. That's just not me. You know what I mean? But I'm going to be attracted to someone who's really sitting in this room, who's interested in fashion and blogging. And if you're not taking care of your customer, your competitor will. We spend so much time in my branding process because it's important for my clients to make money. That is the selling point that I'm giving to someone. I can increase your income. After a rebrand, I am promising these women an increase of $20,000 or more or tripling their bookings. That's a really high task, and that's how we get to it. We focus on their target audience, what their competitor is thinking right now, so we can get to them. And also what I do in that is I develop a target audience analysis. And I'm going to step down because this is really important. So I'm a visual person. Everything that I create is visual. And so for my clients, it's really good for them to have this visual so we can mark ourselves at the same point, that we're on the same page at every part of their process. And so what I do is I hop on Polyvore and I create some client avatars. I also create a description of that person so that we're always on that same page, that when my client comes and says, Tiffany, I want to bring this service to market, I'm like, does that match up with who we're marketing to? Are we getting too far off? Are we just doing things because they're popular and they're trendy? No, we need to stick with what this woman or this man wants to know. And so this is for one of my clients, and I'm going to read one of them to you. So the startup gal. Fresh on the scene, our startup gal knows the importance of educating herself on this new journey into entrepreneurship. Though she's reached success in her corporate career, it's time for her to set up accountability markers to help her business get in tip-top shape. Ambitious, driven, determined, and goal-driven are her pillars. She's ready to jump in and be a part of the Master Your Message community, which is something that my client has. That's very clear. That's something that my client can read at any touch point in the branding process to really anchor her in her services. And so I want you to ask yourself these questions. What would your it girl find attractive? Because when we're talking about the website, we're going to be talking about visually attracting someone to you. So it's important that you know what your it girl is attracted to. What is important to your it girl in her normal life? Like I said, people have so many choices. And if you are not appealing to their everyday life, you are missing the mark. If you are not concerned about moms and their husbands and their babies and their lack of time, you are not hitting their mark. You're not getting their attention. So knowing what she's doing in her normal life also counts. How does she move about her day? This is how you know where and when to target her. Is she at the grocery store? Is she at the mall? Is she at Gucci? Because you have to know where she is to meet her. Is she at one of these events? It's very important because I've gone to networking events and gained clients because I've done the research about what platforms they are attracted to and what events they are at. What are her top 3 priorities when searching for what you have to offer? If you do not know this, you are going to continue to miss her. For me, for an example, they want to know that I can put together a visual presence for them that is better than what they had. They want to know that I can make them money through my past experiences with my clients. And they want to know that I do it for myself. If I don't have a professional portfolio, my clients are out the door. They don't want to hear anything. They don't want to see anything. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. So your services, you want to make yourself unique. And you see, we haven't even touched a color palette yet. And I'm so glad that I have the opportunity to talk to you all about the right order in creating a website. So your services have to be unique. To give real service, you must add something which cannot be bought or measured, and that is you all. Your unique selling proposition. What is it about you as a style blogger? What is it you about a business owner that you are doing differently in the industry? That is going to get you noticed. That is going to get you on stage. That is going to get you clients. It's nothing that you can sell. Excuse me, it's nothing that can be bought. So these are the questions I want you to ask yourself. What do you want to be known for? It's important for you to have this under your belt because a lot of people, once you put your stuff out there, have you ever told your family member like something exciting and they're like, yeah, okay, right? You have to keep it for yourself. What do you want to be known for? Because when you put it out there, people will rip it apart. And if you aren't true to yourself, you will get confused. It will confuse your audience, and then that will confuse your money that's coming in your sales, right? What unique combination of strengths and experiences do you bring? You always want to focus on your strengths. Nobody has to know that you're a lazy housekeeper. No one cares. So you have to bring in what makes you strong as a blogger. Is it that you can put an outfit together with less than $100? And even that, there are so many people out here doing that. What is it about you with that $100 outfit that makes you unique? Are you marketing to curvy girls? Are you marketing to straight up and down girls? Are you marketing to multicultural young women? What results will your client or your audience get? Very, very, very important. People are buying end results nowadays. They want to see what they get before they even purchase it. And that's evident on Yelp. I don't know about you, but I don't travel anywhere or eat anywhere outside of my home if I haven't gone to Yelp first. I want to see what the dish looks like before I spend my money. And that's what your customer wants to see as well. On Instagram, on Pinterest, everywhere. They have so much accessibility to an end result. So it's important that you identify that in the pre-branding stage or the pre-website stage so that you're able to market that in a different way. And how will those results benefit their life or business? I work with a lot of small business owners. They are spending their hard-earned money on me. I have to respect that. I need to know how they are going to benefit because what they're doing is coming to me with a dream. They're coming to me scrangling up their coins and saying, Tiffany, I need you to create a brand that's going to get me more attention and get me more money. The results that I can give them, the benefit that they're going to get from working with me is surrounded in all of my marketing. It's infused into my website, and it's very apparent to someone who's coming to me. This is one of my clients. Her name is Katie. I just wanted to give you a quick little example of this. She's a social media manager. And so we directed her photo shoot. I did her branding, and this is her landing page concept. And so she is really into yoga. She is into all things natural. And she's like, Tiffany, I really just want to get rooted in my tagline. I'm like, okay, get rooted. So get rooted, Kate Ray Digital by itself. It tells you a little something, right? Getting rooted, if I just would have put that by itself under Kate Ray Digital, it would have made absolutely 0 sense. Getting rooted in the social impact of you is a very powerful statement. It doesn't tell you exactly what she does in the space of social media, but it gives you an idea, and it sets your mind up to ask more questions. That's how she was able to make herself unique in the space and also infuse her personality into her services. You wouldn't necessarily imagine a social media manager with a purse on her face and her tongue out, but that is her personality, and that's what we bring out in her brand. So we finally get to the visuals. So choosing the right palette, and I hope you all see like a makeup theme. I try to make it like beauty focused. Choosing the right palette is so important. That's what's going to keep you the most cohesive on every platform, not just your website. I gave you some more examples because, again, I'm a very visual learner. So this first mood board concept is something that I just put together for one of my clients. I gave her 2 options, and you'll see this is the second one. But for the first one, it's very clear that this is a sleek, clean, elegant, modern design. That is very different from this one. The color palette controls the mood of your brand. It allows you to function in certain spaces and allows you to sell to certain people. I know that in New York, this mood board would do very well. I know that in LA, this mood board would do very well. So it could be geographically focused depending on what colors you decide to do. I try to stick with 5 colors when composing a brand because anything outside of that is going to get too over-cumbersome. You want to stick with those 5 colors because it allows you to have flexibility in the visuals that you are creating for your website. If you stick with this color palette or any color palette that you choose, it's going to be able to keep you cohesive on any platform because what you're doing, you don't necessarily have to use all 5 colors in everything that you do. But allowing yourself to have that flexibility is going to give you a lot more reach, and it's going to confirm that mood. So when we're talking about the mood board, the color palette, the photos lock it all in. I hope that you see that it's more of an equation that we're putting together. This is an example of my client's website before I got a hold of it. And I think they would be very upset with me that I put it up there, but I really don't care because it's a very, very good example of everything that I've talked about thus far. So they are a catering company, and this was their website, their logo, their visuals beforehand. Before their rebrand, they had a lack of color on their website, absolutely poor lighting, and it did not excite anybody to buy or purchase their services. This is their website after I got a hold of it. It has dynamic tones, professional quality, and ignites action. That flat lay I designed on set for them specifically for that landing page. If you look at their mood board, all of those colors are in their mood board. But even more so of that, identifying that they're a catering company, they need to have the flexibility to have the food speak for itself. You have to remember the industry that you're in when you're choosing your color palette, when you're looking at your photos, to make sure that you're hitting the points that your clients care about. Does that make sense? Yeah? And finally, we can build your website. And the best 2 options or platforms that I think would do well with just starting up a website is Squarespace and Wix. Squarespace and Wix allow a lot of usability on the back end. They allow you to go in and do your SEO. They allow you to go in and create a blog, create newsletters. Touch points that you ordinarily would foster out to somebody else are very user-friendly on Squarespace and Wix. I will say that if you're looking for a more modern look, you want to go for Squarespace. It's very rigid in its templates. It's very blocky, but it allows you the flexibility to put in your content and your photos the way you want to. Wix is what I design on because it's allowed to be completely custom. Yes, yeah. No, excuse me. This is different than WordPress. I don't suggest WordPress only because I knew that I was coming to talk to someone who was just starting their website. WordPress can be a little bit intimidating sometimes, especially with the back end of things. It's really hard for some people. If you haven't been on WordPress for a while, it's kind of hard to get that, that understanding, that knowledge of all the different widgets and plugins that you have to do. So I suggest Squarespace or Wix for someone who's really just about building their brand and trying to create a really good foundational brand. And then you can move to WordPress after a while. Yeah? Right. Right. Yeah, it's very hard. Yeah, yeah. And to save that headache, that's why I suggest those two. And you have to remember to keep it simple. When you're launching a website, you don't want to inundate yourself with a lot of to-dos. You want to be able to put your services up there to make money, right? You want to put your blog up there to get exposure. You don't want to be inundated with, is my plugin working correctly? Or is my code working correctly, unless that is your specific industry. And so I have a 5-page formula that I use for all of my clients who are startup entrepreneurs. And this 5-page formula is basically to get you out there, right? We're going to have a homepage. And don't worry about the PowerPoint. If anybody wants it, I can definitely email it to them. You don't have to rush and write anything down. The homepage, it's a general overview of what they will find within your website. If someone wants to click www.u.com, and just scroll that page, they need to be able to find out everything from that homepage scroll that they need to know for them to hire you. It's important that it's a culmination of everything that's going to be on your site. So for my startup clients, there is a little blurb about them on their homepage. There is a little blurb about their services and their offering. There's a link to their blog, and then there's always a touch point of their contact information. So going back to the About page, you have to tell them who you are and remember to have fun. It's important that you have fun here because, again, this is identifying your client to who you are and what makes you different. If you're just saying, hi, my name is Tiffany, I went to Hampton University in 2005, I graduated in this, and I work here. No one's going to want to read that. But if you open with dynamic things about yourself that make you unique, people will be attracted to your story and hopefully be attracted to working with you. Your services and offering, make it easy for them to digest it and even easier to book with you. Because that is the end goal. If you're a blogger, make it easier for someone to understand what collaborations that you are interested in. If you're a speaker, make sure that you have your top 5 talks on your website. If you are a service provider or a product, make sure that it's clear and it's easy, that the user experience is not difficult, because people will log out of your website in a hurry. A lot of people spend about 2 minutes on a website, if that. It's 30 seconds to 2 minutes. And especially that time decreases when we're on our phone. And everyone is on their phone nowadays. A blog, the last speaker said that if you're not a blogger, you don't need to really be blogging. I disagree with that just a little bit, because what a blog does, it initiates you as an industry leader. It starts to position you as a thought leader in your specific industry and allows you to share that information with someone for free. If someone's coming to my website and they're thinking about working with me and they read that I've rebranded my client and they've made $50,000, that is a touch point that you want on your blog. That's something that you can't necessarily always put on your social media, because you don't want to be bragging about that at all times. But if you have, and what I suggest to my clients, that you have 3 strong blogs that you put as featured content. And this is something that you don't have to update every 2 weeks, but it lives on your website forever. So if you're a style blogger, the 3 strongest topics that you have as a blogger that will position you in a unique way. If you're a service provider like me, I'm talking about branding. I'm talking about websites. I'm talking about making more money because that's what my clients want to hear. And of course, contact. Someone should not have to search all around your website for the contact. It should be on every page of your website. The bottom, and it should have its own separate page for people who want to get in contact you for press or for appearances. And so I just want to end with this quote. If your story stops with you, you cannot make an impact. I know that there are some people sitting in here that really, really, really want to get something started. They really want to get their website out there. And you should absolutely do it. The things that you are going through, the things that I went through, if I didn't open with that, I would have no connection point with a lot of you in this room. And so I want you to make sure that you infuse your story into your brand, that you start with your why. You do your research on your target audience. You think about the services that you're going to be presenting to them. You think about the color palette and the quality of the photos that you're putting on there. You think about that 5-page formula, and then you really go on to begin to change or create your website and change the end of your story. Thank you so much for allowing me to come and talk to you about that. I really wanted to get through that because I love personalized questions because I realize that not everyone fits into a certain mold. So is there any questions? No? No? Okay. Right. So it's like, well, which one am I hiring? Right. And I need to either say it and do one really well. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I would say go with the one that is going to make you money, right? Because like the speaker before said that if you're not a blogger and that's not your top priority, if that's not what you're booking for, if that's not what you're looking to collaborate on specifically with drawing people into your blog, then going with that stylist position is going to position you in one box, right? And people say don't put yourself in a box, but with your target audience, they want you to be in a box. They want to be able to easily identify you. They want to be able to come to you for a specific service, offering, or opportunity. It's important for them because they will get confused easily. And I'll give you an example. So I really so desperately want to be called a creative director. That's just a personal preference of mine, right? So bad. And I know that's what I do. However, my coach said, Tiffany, what does that mean? So I did some target audience analysis interviews. And so I asked those women, I said, do you identify more with creative director when I say that or brand designer? All of them said brand designer. And so I've been using brand designer / creative director, putting that first and making sure that I say that because people get it instantly. There's no question. Creative designer is just like, okay, what do you do? You're creative, so am I. Does that make sense? Yeah. Right. 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 Right, yeah. Stylist is much more focused, I think. Yeah. And then taking that and making it even more unique. Adding your story on top of that and then adding that visual presence that's going to make you stand out even more. Are there any other questions? Yeah.
So I'm like at the very, very beginning stages of creating my business for social media marketing and like in a smaller city in Idaho. But it's like a very big need over there, and I am just like overwhelmed with like everything. Like I'm still trying to pick out a name, a website, color, like everything. And so what would you suggest, like where to start, what to do?
I would start with your why, right? So you're in a small town, but you're very specific and you know what you want to do, right? You know the value that you can bring to somebody, right? So start with your why. Why did you want to start that and what makes you different in that space? Even though you're in a small city, they have the whole intranet to, hire people just like you. So when you confirm on your why, you get extremely clear on who you want to service, and that allows you to then formulate that target avatar that I said before so that you're reaching people who want exactly what you're giving. And so that why is tied into the client, that client is tied into the services. Make sure that after you identify your why, you think about those people and then the services that you can bring them. Don't think about anybody else. Even if it is in that small town, you want to make sure that what you're offering is what they need. You know what I mean? Because you can come to a New York, and there's a whole different market of needs. But in Iowa, where you're from, there are people who probably just don't get it as fast as you want them to. And so identifying their need there and their pain points is what's going to set you apart. And they're going to say, wow, she's such a big fish in a little pond. And then you'll get to see that client influx of people just naturally being attracted to you because you're offering exactly what they want in their market. Because you're only the best in the world to the people who are trying to hire you, right? For the people who can afford you, for the people who want to hire you for your services. And so you need to be the best in that market, in that niche market, and then focus on what it is that you're bringing to them when you're thinking about the color palette. Are people in Iowa going to be attracted to a sleek black look? Or are they going to go for a more country look, country vibe, right? We're not selling to ourselves. We are not buying from ourselves. So we always have to think about that target audience. If y'all think I look like this every day, you are mistaken. I am in sweatpants, no makeup, but I know this is what my target wants to see online and off. So I make sure that I'm presentable there so that I can track the business. Does that make sense? Okay. And we can connect afterwards, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, thanks. Yeah, absolutely. So I can elaborate more on Wix and Squarespace. Wix allows you to do a lot. So what I usually set up my clients for is startup SEO. You can go in and program your website so that it's friendly with Google, and they will walk you through how to do that on Wix. They will also allow you to create newsletters for your clients and really allowing you to get in their inbox with what you're offering. With Wix, they also allow you to have contacts that you're stored there. I don't know if Squarespace offers the same thing. However, I know that for blogging specifically, Squarespace, I was told, works the best. I was told that for SEO, Squarespace is the best thing. However, I have had clients who started off on Squarespace. I switched them over to Wix, and after about 3 or 4 months, they generated right back where they were in SEO with that guided tutorial on Wix and for the SEO. Yeah. So a lot of my clients don't do e-commerce right now. So I work with small business entrepreneurs who are mainly wedding planners. They are creative entrepreneurs or coaches and that kind of thing. So e-commerce is not specifically my specialty. However, when my client does have a product, what I do is I always attach it to a separate e-commerce site because I know that with Wix and with Squarespace, I prefer for the analytics of a third-party e-commerce site for my clients so they can see detailed things. Sometimes Wix and Squarespace doesn't allow you to control your cart and your inventory and stuff like that the way they would want to, like a Shopify does. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create an experience for their audience, right? Whatever their product is. And so I design around that end experience. And it's really up to the rest of my team to take care of the e-commerce part of it so that they're attracted to my client for their product, but then the user experience traveling from their main website to the third-party e-commerce site is smooth. Does that answer your question a little bit? Okay, perfect. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, sure. So what I did was I emailed everybody, and I didn't take no for an answer when I was trying to gain credibility when I first started. I really hit on what people needed. So if I found a platform that wasn't diverse, I went there because I am an African-American woman who has something to say, right? And so I just emailed cold emails, and I really took people out for coffee chats. I did a lot of Skype interviews. I did a lot of phone calls. I wrote a lot of blogs. I did a lot of stuff for free. A lot of stuff for free to get my name out there, because that's just what you have to do. When in the introduction, that put that head down work, that was what I did. And I connected with people who needed something that I had to offer, that weren't currently succeeding. And you would be surprised. These people who have like 100,000 followers, they're like a team of 2, right? They need what you have to offer. So if I was reaching out to some platform that I was involved with for a while called the Rising Tide Society. They are involved with creative entrepreneurs. They had maybe 80,000 followers when I first contacted them. I put together an email to the founder and said, these are the topics I can talk about. Do you need any help with this internally, or do you think that your audience will need help with this? And basically she said, hell yes, and I started working with her. And from that relationship, what I did was I tended to it. After you establish that relationship and you get that opportunity, tending to it, dropping them like a bad date is not what you want to do. You want to continue to court them even if you're not creating content for them, even if you're not providing a service for them, because they will remember you. People build business relationships off of people that they like. They want to work with their friends, and they want to have a good time doing it. And so that's what I did. Did that answer your question? Okay, yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. It all depends on what your client wants to see from you, right? So what do you do? Okay, yeah. So I think that the flexibility that you have is that you have a larger market, right? And that you can have the flexibility of changing your feed and no one be like, oh my goodness, what is happening? Because if I changed my feed and I went all black and white and rogue and stuff like that, people would think, like, I'd be getting phone calls like, are you okay? Are you depressed? Why don't you have on pink? Where's the rose gold? All that kind of stuff. Where's the white? So I think that you have the flexibility to do that. However, you have to keep up with that. If you're going to do Valentine's Day, then you have to remember St. Patrick's Day. Then you have to remember July 4th. Then you have to remember Christmas, because people will start remembering that this company goes by themes depending on what date it is, what holiday it is. And in the middle, you can have fun. You know, you can say that for the next 12 posts, we're going to keep that pink theme, and then we're going to switch to something else. And then for the next holiday, we're going to do another 12 grid for our audience, specifically for St. Patrick's Day, and we're going to create a sale around that. Does that make sense? I just picked 12. I usually do a top 9 because I use the platform Planoly. Do you know what that is? Yeah. If anyone is looking to style their Instagram, Planoly, Planoly, is a really, really good app to use on your phone because it allows you to style your Instagram before posting it, right? And so, yeah, you can do it on the computer, you can do it on your phone, but I usually go for a top 9 because that's all I can process in my brain. And usually if that top 9 matches, I can focus on the next top 9. And so if you want to do top 9 for Valentine's Day, it looks clean. You know what I mean? At the end of that Valentine's Day, you have a very clear visual that people can say, okay, I get it, pink, Valentine's Day, romantic, da-da-da. And then you do your thing until the next website, and then you have your top 9. So that if someone is visiting your Instagram page without looking at their feed and looking solely at yours, they can see the theme there. And some people follow you and engage with you based on that as well, the whole picture. Some people will just engage with you based on that one picture, or they will go to your feed. Oh, yeah, for sure. Any other questions? Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yep. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So I have what I call an hour of power every single morning, and this is something that my coach taught me. And it's really, I think, the secret to how I was able to quadruple my income last year. It's really spending 1 hour focused with the phone off, no TV, no social media, no anything. And so what I do is I do 30 minutes of wealth consciousness reading every single day. I follow that up with 15 minutes of meditation and visualization, and then I close it with prayer because I'm a faith-based person in business. And so what that allows me to do is it allows me to get clear for the day. It allows me to take all the stuff that happened the day before and kind of throw it out the window and reposition myself every morning. And I know from research that multimillionaires have a similar, they work out. I'm trying to do that. But they have a similar morning routine that they are very, very strict about. And so I have learned from them and from my business coach, who is a multiple seven-figure earner, that those morning routines, positioning yourself each and every single morning, even if you can't get to an hour, at least 30 minutes of it makes the difference in being successful. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question. It was good. Any other? Yeah.
I guess in an industry where you're encouraged to be very innovative and forward-thinking, how do you become so hyper-focused on working as a freelancer?
Yeah. I think the way that you remain focused is, I'm going to take it back to the why, right? If I identify my why before I start, and I allow myself to stick to it, and I'm firm to it, I'm not going to allow anyone to move me from that path, right? No matter what's going on in the industry, there are some brand designers who are putting together, I know we talked about this last night, programs. I know that for me and my agency, when I first started, I said, I want to be the Olivia Pope of branding. I don't want to be easily accessible to everyone. However, I want people to know the reputation that I have for creating amazing websites and getting my clients super amazing sales. So I knew that when I first started. And so when I see people, even on Instagram, went through the scroll, because we all get caught up in the scroll, right? When I see people coming out with stuff, I'm able to go back to that why and say, does this really line up with what I want to do? And if it doesn't, it's not for me. And I have to believe that there are certain things that are meant for me if it's not specifically what they're doing. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I decided to get a business coach mainly because I knew I was moving to LA, and she's based in LA, and I wanted to have a connection point there. I also knew that I had I was about to curse. I had a messed up money story, right? And she was telling me through her Instagram that she was transforming small business entrepreneurs' money story. That thing that we have, that we get from our parents or our grandparents, that, we're only allowed to make a certain amount of money a year. Currently, I make just about what my mom makes in her job, and she's 50-something years old. And so growing up in the household like that, I knew that I was kind of meant to make more money. And I don't mean to sound greedy or anything like that, but just when you know something so much. And so when I was affirmed to that, I said, I need someone to usher me into that space. I cannot do it by myself. And that's something else that I've learned in my company, that although I want to have my hands in everything, I need to foster out things that I cannot control myself. I need to bring in experts who have proven the strategies and skills and the results that I am looking for, and I need to hire them quickly. Yeah, so I just recognized that I needed help, and that she was the right one for me. Like I said before, I'm a faith-based person, so I prayed about it, and I wanted to really make sure that she was right for me, and it's worked out so beautifully. And so she has taught me that when you're hiring, you have to go after what you don't like to do, And what I don't like to do is think too much about money because of my messed up money story, because I have a juxtaposition that I can only make a certain amount of money. So I need someone else to think for me. I need someone else to say, Tiffany, you can do this, and this is how you can do it. Because there is nothing standing in the way of you making the amount of money you have in the company that you want to have. And sometimes we just need that cheerleader. Does that make sense? Yeah. And I would encourage you to, like, if you're thinking about hiring someone like that, don't let the money get in the way. I did not have the money when I hired her. I had the deposit, but I didn't have the rest that she was asking for, and I didn't need to worry about that because I was sending a message out into the universe that I was ready to move forward. No matter what it said in my bank account, I was ready to move forward. I booked a flight to go have a consultation with her from DC to LA. I had no idea where that money came from now. I can't even remember. But the flight was booked. I went out and met with her. Then I put my deposit down. And then a year later, she helped me quadruple that income. So I would encourage you, like, if anyone is thinking about hiring a web developer, a social media manager, a coach, an assistant, anybody, don't let that money that you don't have get in the way. Don't let it keep you from making the money that you really want to make. Yeah.
Versus, like, especially when you're in a new city, how do you find the right person? How do you source for those people?
Yeah, so I went to her website, and I saw that it wasn't janky, basically. And so that's what I used the first tier of how I decide to work with someone. Because I'm a visual person, that matters the most to me. If you are presented well online, that means that you've invested in yourself and you believe in the service offerings that you're providing enough for me to care about you, right? And so after I saw that she invested in it, I got into her copy and the messaging of her website, right? And so I found that all the bullet points that I was looking for, they were surrounded right there in her website. The touch points, I know dozens of coaches, dozens, but they had not made 7 figures. They were my friends. They were making a good, cute little 6-figure. But I knew that I want to eventually be making 7 figures, so I needed someone who had already done it usher me in. And I think that was her portfolio, right? That's something that I use on my website. I don't think anyone could hire me for a website unless they've seen my portfolio. I was doing pro bono work when I didn't have a portfolio, just to say, okay, if you like it, you can use it. If not, we'll throw it away. But I kept it for myself because I knew that's what I needed for someone to hire me. When going about hiring an assistant, I just have to jump into it, right? I get a resume, cool, I read it, but I'm really a feel type person. And so once I feel a certain energy from somebody, I say, all right, let's give it a chance. If it doesn't work out, you're fired, let's go on to the next person. Because me being too focused on finding that right candidate, it's gonna be perfect, it's gonna take 6 months to hire them, I don't have that kind of time. I need someone in the position now, and I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to say, I'm a cursing person, so it's really hard for me not to, but I messed up. I hired the wrong person. Now let me use what I messed up on and let me bring it back. Let me say, I know I don't need a candidate who isn't willing to work 20 hours a week. I know that I need a candidate who is versed in marketing and knows a little bit about Photoshop because of the experience I had before. Does that make sense? Any more questions? No? All right, thank you all so much. I appreciate it. I'll be here all day as well, so if you have any questions that you didn't want to share, feel free to ask.